So Android 17 has quickly become a fan favorite, Frieza has definitely lost his goddamn mind, Jiren's backstory was mildly disappointing, and this episode got people to come up with some of the craziest fan theories I've ever heard. This is my review for Dragon Ball Super episode 127, let's get it! Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy DBfanboy here, and we're back with another review for Dragon Ball Super. Today we're going to talk about episode 127, The Approaching Wall, the Final Barrier of Hope. And man, this was another great episode. Can I just say right now, can we get a hashtag blessed? Because ever since episode 122, all the episodes have just been fire. Every single week, we have been given nothing but awesome episodes. So I just feel so lucky that we are ending this series off on a bang. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying these are perfect episodes because they're not. They're far from perfect. Honestly, they feel a little rushed, and I'm not even sure if that's intentional because it kind of feels like Toei got hit with this deadline like out of nowhere. Maybe that there was even a thing that the original box set said that there were supposed to be 133 episodes or something like that, and we're only getting 131. So maybe, you know, there was 2 other episodes that were planned and they had to end up cutting it short to 131, and now they kind of have to rush the story a little bit, and that's kind of what it feels like. So I'm not going to go ahead and get too crazy about it. Like, I'm still going to talk about the things that they could have done differently. But I mean, that's what we have the manga for. The manga will fill all that void that we don't get from the anime, and it'll fill in the gaps for the story. So we still have that to look forward to. But let's go ahead and get into the rating of this week's episode. Now, if you're not familiar with my rating system, it's a very simple system, nothing crazy. It's just based on a scale of 1 to 7. And I have to say that this week's episode was for sure a solid 6-star episode. Now, like I said, there were flaws with it. It wasn't a perfect episode. There's definitely things that they could have done to make the episode better. But I'll get to that in a little bit. I just want to talk about how awesome it was that, you know, they were able to make such an emotional episode this week out of a character that not too many people even gave a shit about, to be honest, like before this tournament even started. Like, I've never met anyone whose favorite character was Android 17. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's like a crap character. I'm sure he had a small fan base. I'm just saying I've never met anyone who personally Android 17 was their favorite character. And like, I'm just saying that even when they announced him coming back for the tournament, everyone was just really excited like for nostalgia reasons. No one was really expecting anything really out of him because we didn't think that he was even on the same tier as, you know, Gohan really. So I just honestly thought it was really cool that they were able to take a character like that and turn him into a fan favorite by the end of the episode. And also the fact that he's like a serious candidate for MVP of the tournament. Like, he did a lot. He got a good amount of eliminations. He took out Annie Raza. He was turned out to be a great strategist. He you know, he was fearless. He took on some of the strongest fighters in the tournament. He took on Toppo by himself. He tried to take on Jiren by himself. Like, this dude came in clutch a lot of times. So it was really cool to see them develop him into that kind of character. And while we're on the subject of 17, I just want to go ahead and clarify, because I don't know if people are trolls or if people are serious, but a lot of people were asking, how was 17 able to blow himself up if he didn't have the bomb in him anymore? And the answer is very simple, guys. Like, 17's not the first character to blow himself up. I mean, we've seen a large number of characters use the self-destruct technique. And all it is just releasing all of your energy in an explosion. Like, that's it. Like, we've seen it over and over again. So I don't know how people were confused by that. I don't know if they're just like really searching just to look for things to complain about, like inconsistencies in the show. But it's just, that was a little crazy that I saw a lot of people asking that. But getting back to the breakdown, so aside from 17's character development, the animation was also really on point this episode. I liked a lot of it. We got a lot of really cool looking scenes this week. Also, the action. We got so many good action scenes. Like, the fights were awesome. Seeing Vegeta, Goku, and 17 all work together. Not to mention Frieza coming back into the mix. I'm honestly surprised about that. I thought for sure that they were going to try to play that card where they are going to try to make us forget that he's even around, so that way they can unveil him in the last episode of the tournament, just to be like, ha, you forgot about Frieza, he's still around. And now I don't know what they're doing. It's weird. He made like that quick appearance just to get knocked out again. So it was just really strange. And honestly, this is what I didn't like about Frieza. Now, after seeing this episode, it reminded me what I didn't like about Frieza. It's when he's in this this insane craze. Like it just, I don't like that part of his character. I like it when he's smug and he's cocky and he is just full of himself. Like I like that Frieza, and when he has the power to back it up. But when he's all psycho like this and he's just wild and they're they're just making him look like a fool. And this is what I don't like about Frieza. I hate this part of his character, and I wish they would stop doing it. Like either eliminate him or just don't show him and save him for your big reveal at the end. But just stop making him look like a fool, because it's really annoying, because you know that he doesn't stand a chance against Jiren. So to see him like try to go at him, they did this also, like they do it every single time with Frieza. Like that's just his thing. He is overconfident, then he gets beat, and then he snaps into this insane mode where he thinks that just because he's crazy that he's gonna all of a sudden become stronger, and it's never the case. It never works out that way. So just stop doing that to my man's Frieza, because it's not cool. You guys are just being dicks at this point. But there was another key moment with Frieza that I wanted to talk about that I don't know if a lot of people saw or not, but so when 17 was getting ready to self-destruct and he threw his shields on Goku and Vegeta, there was a moment right before he self-destructed where he looked back to make sure they were cool, and then he looked at Frieza for a split second, and then he like laughed to himself, and then he blew up. Now I thought that was very interesting because it was so subtle that I don't know where they're going with that. I don't know if this is another misdirection where they're trying to make us think that Frieza also got eliminated with this since he didn't have a shield on, but it was just weird that they didn't emphasize on it more if that's what they wanted us to think. So I'm very curious to see what that whole thing was about. Hopefully they'll touch on it next episode, but I'm not too sure. Hopefully you guys will have some answers, because I sure as hell don't. But now let's move on and talk about some of the things that I kind of didn't like about the episode, some little small things that kind of bugged me. Now, first being Goku coming up with his solution to beat Jiren. Like, this was a really dumb thing. I don't understand why the writers thought that this should even be in the episode. It's pretty dumb. So Goku comes to the conclusion that, oh, I know how to beat Jiren now. We just got to hit him with big attacks when he's not guarding. Bruh, like, how did you not know that? Like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Like, I thought he was going to say something real, and then he comes with that nonsense, and everyone's like, oh yeah, good job. That sounds like a great plan. Like, that was just retarded. Like, you guys could have come up with something better than that. Like, I thought he was going to have a real weakness, but that was just dumb. So there's that, and then there's the whole power scaling issue. Like, I don't want to get into it too much, but honestly, there's no reason why 17 should have been able to last even a second against Jiren, especially now that Jiren is going balls to the walls and he's finally like going all out. There's no way. Like the scene where him and 17 punched, like Jiren should have just punched straight through his freaking arm. Like, that's just crazy that they were even able to have any kind of struggle. Like, that's crazy. The amount of power that you're giving 17 in this episode is nuts when you really think about it. But again, I don't want to get into power scaling because it's a headache. So I'd rather just not, and just enjoy the episode for what it is and just try not to think too much. But if we're going to complain about something, I want to complain about that. But the last thing that I didn't like about the episode was Jiren's backstory. And now I know a lot of people had a problem with this. They were complaining that it was very cliche, it was very unoriginal, blah, blah, blah. Like, the story itself isn't the problem. Like, he's not the first character to have his parents killed, and then he is motivated by that. Like, that's not the problem. I understand people made, the comparison to Batman and comparisons to other animes, and it's like, yeah, that's a very common backstory. The problem that I have with it is that they didn't just show the person who killed his parents, because that led to wild fan theories that I'll get into later on. But if it turns out that they were only hiding it because they were going to reveal him, in the next couple episodes or something, then I get it. But I just didn't really see a need to give that person any kind of like mystery. Like, there's no real need to do that if he's not going to play any future role in the series. And then B, like, I wish that they just would have gave the story just like its own little flair. Like, they could have, got a little bit more in depth with the story. Like maybe they could have had some dialogue between the person that killed Jiren's parents and Jiren himself. Like I feel like that would have been enough to spice it up a little bit. Like maybe he could have, spared Jiren intentionally and told him directly, like, I'm going to leave you alive because you're just a little weak kid, basically, and that would have given Jiren that real extra drive to get stronger. The fact that, aside from killing his parents, he also insulted like how weak he was. Like that to me, like I get your parents getting murdered by someone. That's more than enough, motivation to want to become stronger to avenge them. But I mean, they just could have added something a little bit more. And I think a personal little insult like that, like to make him feel weak, would be a much bigger factor than just this plain vanilla, I want to avenge my parents' death story. And lastly, like, I wish that they would have really touched on how he was even able to be as strong as he is, because all they basically said was that he just has this obsession with getting stronger. But I want to know, like, he's pretty freaking crazy. Like, Goku has a very obsession with becoming stronger and becoming like the best fighter he can be. The same goes with Vegeta, but nothing explains why Jiren is as powerful as he is, and they didn't touch on that at all, other than the fact that he was obsessed with getting stronger. So that's just something that I really wish that they would have gave a little bit more information on. And I get that, there's still a couple episodes left for them to touch on that kind of stuff, but I just really want to know what it is about him specifically that makes him able to get to the strength that he got to. And I mean, again, that's what we have the manga to look forward to, because I'm sure they're going to go into a lot more depth on his story and, what exactly he went through in his life. But yeah, other than those things, I mean, like I said, I didn't really have a problem with the story itself. I just wish they would have elaborated a little bit more. So, I mean, all in all, I don't love it, but it's cool with me. So now let's move on to talk about some of these crazy and ridiculous theories that have spawned from this episode. Now, right off the bat, let's go ahead and start with the most ridiculous theory, is that the person who killed Jiren's parents is Goku Black. Now, that is just beyond dumb. Like, why he would, for, I don't know, God knows what reason, go back. He can't even go back in time, first off. So the theory is already instantly debunked. Like, there's just no reason for him to go back to kill Jiren's parents and not kill Jiren. Like, why? It's just beyond retarded. So let's just, I don't even want to get into it. It's just stupid. But moving on from that, so we move on to the next theory, which also has something to do with the person who killed Jiren's parents. Now, it has been speculated that this person is Belmod. Now, people are saying this because the purple aura that this quote-unquote evildoer has resembles the god of destruction energy, and also they're saying that Belmont somehow knew that Jiren was this prodigy who was going to be able to achieve this crazy strength, so that he did this to kind of get him to become a god of destruction. And that was Belmont's original plan, was to have Jiren be his god of destruction so that he can retire. But I mean, that just seems like a big stretch. I mean, I don't know. It would be very unlikely for this to be the case. I mean, even when he was talking about when Jiren was a kid, he didn't mention anything about Jiren being a strong fighter or anything like that. So how he would know that Jiren had this potential or anything, I don't know. I mean, I guess Margarita could have told him that there was this, crazy fighter with this potential. And I mean, it's possible, I guess. It's not like out of the realm of possibility. It just, to me, it seems very unlikely this will be the case. But a lot of people are saying that this is going to be the big reveal, and that Jiren is going to find out about that, and he's going to basically eliminate himself so that way he can get his revenge on Belmod, and it'll basically undo everything. Like, he won't have to worry about his past anymore because everything will be erased. So it's almost like it never even happened. So that's a theory that's going around right now. It's pretty popular. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how likely it is that'll happen, but I wouldn't bet on this one. And the last theory that I'm going to talk about is another really dumb theory. And people are saying that when Android 17 self-destructed, that he didn't actually self-destruct because, here we go again with this same old nonsense, because the Zenos never pushed the button for 17, so therefore he must not be eliminated. Even though they're not taking into account that there were numerous fighters in the tournament that we did not see the button get pushed for and were clearly eliminated. I mean, this is just Hit's clone all over again, and people just aren't willing to accept that 17 eliminated himself. Like, it's not that big of a deal. He was never gonna win this tournament. Like, for damn sure that wasn't gonna be a thing. But yeah, so people are saying that he didn't actually self-destruct, that he just did that like a fake self-destruct, and that he's actually hiding. And since they can't sense his energy, that he's just going to stay in hiding until the end of the tournament, and then he's going to pop out, and that Universe 7 is going to win on a technicality, that it's going to be Goku and Jiren left at the end and as a draw. But in reality, 17 is going to pop out from behind a rock and be like, surprise, I'm still here, guys. So there's that theory. That's just it. Like I said, it's just as dumb as his clone theory. And it's really annoying that we have to deal with this kind of nonsense all over again. But yeah, other than those things, it was a pretty awesome episode. Like I said before, the action was great. I love the setup for next week's episode. It's going to be pretty freaking awesome. Seeing Vegeta go one last time against Jiren. Also, the animation was on point. I talked about that. We got a lot of great scenes. And yeah, all in all, great episode. I loved it. Can't wait for the next week's. It's going to be awesome. But let me know what you guys thought. Let me know your opinion on this week's episode. What do you guys think it should be rated? Do you agree that it was a 6-star episode, or do you believe it should be rated higher or lower? Also, let me know your thoughts on Jiren's backstory. Did you guys think that it was a pretty cool backstory, or were you guys pretty underwhelmed by it? If you guys have any thoughts on the theories that I talked about, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to think of other than 2 out of 3 were complete horseshit. But maybe you guys have something to add to the Belmont theory to make it a little bit more plausible. But yeah, other than that, leave your comments down below. I appreciate your feedback. Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you are not already. You guys can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook for more content. But that's it for me. That wraps up this review. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later.